Imagine that the person you love dies in a car crash. All the news confirms it. His family is gathered in silence, waiting for the official list of victims. And then your phone rings. His name appears on the screen. You pick up, but instead of a voice, you hear only a strange, empty noise. Minutes later, another phone rings, then a third, then a fourth. For hours, his cell phone calls everyone he loved, as if he were still alive somewhere in the wreckage, trying to be found. But when rescuers finally reach him, they discover something that turns this case into one of the most sinister phone mysteries of the modern era. It happened on September 12, 2008. A Metrolink train was leaving Union Station, packed with passengers. In the front car was 49-year-old Charles Peake. He texted his fiancée, Andrea, that he was almost there. It was the last text he would ever send. Minutes later, the commuter train collided head-on with a Union Pacific freight train. The impact was enormous. The cars were crushed into a mass of twisted steel. Fires burned for hours, and thick black smoke could be seen from afar. The Chatsworth disaster became the deadliest rail disaster in California history. Andrea was at the station waiting for Charles when she heard the news. She went to the scene of the crash, but the police wouldn't let her in. Later, she met his family in a waiting room, where everyone was waiting for the lists of survivors and dead. Then her phone rang. The screen said, "Charles." The room fell silent. Andrea raises her hands with trembling hands and expects to hear his voice. But on the other end, there are no words, just a strange, heavy static noise. After a few seconds, the connection is cut off. At first, everyone thinks it's a random call, but minutes later, his son's phone rings. It's Charles again. Then his brother's phone rings. Then his stepmother's. Over the next few hours, Charles's phone starts ringing the people he loved. His fiancée, his parents, his siblings, his children. 35 calls in total. Every time someone picks up, there's only the same strange noise on the other end. To the family, that means one thing: Charles is alive. He may be trapped in the rubble. He may not be able to speak, but he's holding his phone and trying to show them he's still there. The family immediately informs the police. That changes everything. The operation is no longer just a search for the dead. It becomes a rescue mission. Firefighters, paramedics, and rescue teams begin cutting and moving huge chunks of steel. Each new call gives a new signal. The mobile operator confirms that the signals are coming from Charles's phone, which is at the epicenter of the crash. The teams work all night. After 12 hours, the calls suddenly stop. Maybe the battery is dead. Maybe Charles can no longer press the button, but the rescuers already know where to look. Shortly before dawn, they reach the last layer of debris. They point their flashlights at the crushed car and see Charles on the seat. For a moment, everyone thinks they have found a survivor. But there is no miracle. The rescuers immediately rush to Charles. He is still in his seat. He is not crushed by heavy debris, and at first glance does not appear to be seriously injured. But when a firefighter checks his pulse, the truth becomes clear. Charles is dead. The coroner determines that he died at the moment of the collision. The injuries were incompatible with life: severe internal injuries, a severed spine, and massive damage. Death occurred instantly. That means Charles was dead before the first call to Andrea. He was dead when his phone contacted his son, his brother, his stepmother, and everyone else. But the mystery is just beginning. The most logical explanation is a technical malfunction. Perhaps the damaged phone started to randomly dial numbers from the contact list. But there is one huge problem. When rescuers find Charles, they immediately start looking for the phone that made the 35 calls. They check his pockets. No phone. They search the area around the seat. No phone. They disassemble the wreckage, check under the seats, in the luggage compartments, and between the metal structures. They use metal detectors and document every piece of the wreckage. They find his wallet, they find his keys, but they never find the phone. The device that had been sending signals to cell towers for 11 hours and directing rescue teams to the crash site is simply missing. No one ever manages to explain where it disappeared to. Charles dies at the moment of impact. No pulse, no brain activity, no phone. And yet, for the next 11 hours, he seems to continue to connect with the people he loves. He calls the woman he was going to marry, his children, his loved ones. And when rescuers finally find his body, the calls stop. A story like this inevitably raises questions. Could it all have been an inexplicable technical anomaly? Or is there sometimes a connection between life and death that science still can't explain? These are the questions that lie behind the following story. In January 1996, in Abilene, Texas, journalist Brian Bethel pulls into an empty parking lot to complete a simple task. In just a few minutes, he will experience an encounter that will start one of the world's most famous and sinister urban legends, the Black-Eyed Children. Brian Bethel is a seasoned journalist. He has covered serious crimes, accidents, and human tragedies for years. He is used to maintaining his composure even in the most tense situations. But tonight something is different. As he sits in his car, he hears a knock on the window. Outside are two boys, about 10 or 12 years old, with hoods, pale faces, and an unusually calm demeanor. Even before they speak, Brian feels an inexplicable fear. His heart begins to beat fast. Every instinct screams to him, only one thing: run. At that moment, the noise of the city disappears. The traffic dies down. Even the hum of the lights above the parking lot stops. Absolute silence falls. The boys stand completely still. They don't look around, they don't move, they don't show any natural childish behavior. The taller boy smiles and calmly says, "We need help. We forgot our money. Can you give us a ride home? It's not far." The words sound normal, the voice doesn't. He's too calm, too even, and strangely mature, like a grown man trying to talk like a child. Brian feels his hand go to the doorknob on its own. It's as if someone else is controlling his movements. He tries to resist. Then he looks straight into the boy's face and freezes. His eyes aren't just dark, they're completely black. There's no white, no irises, just two bottomless black voids. Panic washes over him instantly. The boy continues calmly. "Just let us in, we don't have any weapons." Brian has never mentioned weapons. Then he realizes something else. The boys keep saying they have to be invited. It's as if they can't get in without his permission. At the last moment, he hits the gas and shoots out of the parking lot. He looks in the mirror, the boys are gone. The parking lot is completely empty. The next day, Brian described everything in detail and posted his story on the internet under the title, "The Children with the Black Eyes." Just hours later, dozens of letters began to arrive from people in different states. Police officers, nurses, engineers, and complete strangers described almost the same encounter. Two children, a polite request, a strange feeling of fear, and completely black eyes. The more testimony that emerged, the harder it became to dismiss it all as a simple coincidence. The testimony about the children with the black eyes began to follow the same pattern. It was always night. There was always a knock. There was always a simple request, a phone call, directions, a ride home, and the same feeling always appeared: a sudden silence, a drop in temperature, and an instinctive fear, as if a predator was nearby. The stories come from different places and different people, but the details are repeated. The children look normal until you see their eyes. They are completely black. The strangest thing is something else. In almost all the stories, they ask permission to come in. They can't just open the door. They can't get in the car. They can't cross the threshold unless the person invites them in. So they beg, they manipulate, they use guilt, they present themselves as helpless children who need help. But there are no reliable accounts from people who let them in. And that's what makes the legend even more sinister. Brian Bethel continues to live in Abilene, and years later admits that nothing in his journalism career can compare to the fear he experienced that night. Later, he discovered two small handprints on his car window. Most disturbingly, the prints were on the inside. The next story begins in 1995, in Charleston, South Carolina. Sonny Graham lies in a hospital bed with a severely damaged heart. Doctors give him very little time to live. Hundreds of miles away, a man named Terry Caudle takes his own life. However, his heart is healthy and is soon transplanted into Sonny's body. The operation is successful. Sonny wakes up with a new heartbeat and a second chance. But strange changes soon begin. He develops tastes he never had before. He begins to like hot dogs, beer, and heavy metal music. His handwriting changes, his movements change. Even the way he laughs seems different. His loved ones sense that he is no longer the same person. Sonny begins to feel an inexplicable desire to connect with his donor's family. That's how he meets Terry's widow, Cheryl. From the very first meeting, he feels a strong emotional connection. Not just attraction, but something deeper, as if the heart in his chest recognizes the woman in front of him. Cheryl feels the same. Later, he says that when she met Sonny, she had the feeling that she was seeing Terry again. The connection between them becomes stronger and stronger. Sonny's marriage falls apart. Later, Cheryl's new marriage also falls apart. In the year 2004, Sonny and Cheryl get married, two different men, the same heart. For a while, it seems like this is a new beginning, but then Sonny begins to change even more deeply. He becomes gloomy, jealous, and withdrawn. He says he doesn't feel like himself. He says he lives someone else's life and that there are thoughts in it that don't belong to him. In the year 2007, he begins to sort out his finances, pay off debts, and arrange his will. He tells his loved ones that he just wants everything to be in order, but the people around him sense that something is wrong. Sonny no longer looks like the man they knew, and the scariest thing is that his life seems to be starting to follow the path of Terry Caudle, the man whose heart beats in his chest. On April 1st, 2008, almost 13 years after the transplant, Sonny Graham's neighbors are awakened by a gunshot. The morning begins quite normally. He drinks his coffee, tells Cheryl that he will take his stepson to the dentist, and then go to work. Instead, he heads to the shed in the yard. He grabs his shotgun. A moment later, he pulls the trigger. Sonny Graham dies on the spot. Cheryl is widowed for the second time. Two different men, the same heart, and an almost identical fate. The story travels the world and raises a new question. Is it possible for organs to retain more than just biological function? Over the years, scientists and doctors have described cases in which people after heart transplants report inexplicable changes. New tastes, different emotions, changes in personality, sometimes even sensations or memories that they cannot explain. Studies show that many recipients report similar changes after transplantation. There are various scientific hypotheses, but so far there is no generally accepted proof that memories or personality can be transferred through a transplanted organ. Nevertheless, the stories continue to emerge. A woman begins to like her donor's favorite foods. Another, a child, describes details about a person she never knew. Are these coincidences, psychological processes, or something that science still does not understand? There is no clear answer. But the story of Sonny Graham remains one of the most discussed in the world. A story that makes one wonder whether sometimes a heart can carry not only life, but also a piece of someone else's. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this video. If these inexplicable stories were interesting to you, support the channel with a comment. Share which of all the stories impressed you the most and why. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and press the bell so you don't miss the next documentary investigations and mysterious cases. And if you want to watch more similar stories, immediately click on one of the two videos that will appear above the screen. I'm sure you will also find them extremely interesting. Thank you for your trust and time. Until the next story.